It is 10:26 p.m. on Friday, May 16th, 2025. 20 people across southeastern Kentucky are about to experience something that will become the deadliest tornado in their region's recorded history. In the next 90 minutes, a monster tornado nearly a mile wide will carve a 60-mile path of destruction through darkness, so complete that survivors will not see it coming. 20 will die, despite taking shelter in basements and bathtubs. This is the story of May 16th, 2025. The day an EF4 tornado, with winds reaching 170 miles per hour, reminded eastern Kentucky why meteorologists now call this region America's most dangerous place for tornadoes. Not Oklahoma, not Kansas. Here, where tornadoes strike at night, where hills and trees hide them from view, where victims cannot see the monster bearing down on them. Our story begins not on May 16th, 2025, but 8 days earlier, May 8th, 2025. Meteorologists at the Storm Prediction Center in Norman, Oklahoma, are staring at computer models showing something they have seen before, something they fear. A large-scale trough is predicted to move across the northern United States. Combined with exceptional moisture returned from the Gulf of Mexico, it is creating what forecasters quietly call a setup for a significant tornado outbreak. By May 14th, still 2 days before the disaster, the Storm Prediction Center issues an enhanced risk. The language is specific, almost prophetic. Forecasters explicitly note the possibility of a high-end, long-track tornado from far southeast Missouri into western Kentucky. Governor Andy Beshear does not wait. He declares a state of emergency before any storms materialize. This is unusual. This is smart. This will save lives. May 15th, a Thursday. The models are getting worse, or better, depending on whether you are a storm chaser or a resident. A deep, closed upper-level low is moving across the northern plains. An 80-knot mid-level jet is screaming across the region. A 125-knot upper-level jet exit region is positioned directly over the Ohio Valley. One National Weather Service forecaster would later call it quite a rare and quite an impressive coming together of atmospheric ingredients. But here's the thing about mid-May in Kentucky. It is beautiful. Temperatures are in the upper 70s. Kids are finishing the school year. Families are making summer plans. The last thing anyone is thinking about is taking shelter from a violent tornado. May 16th dawns humid and warm. Surface temperatures climb into the low 80s. Dew points, the measure of atmospheric moisture, soar near 70 degrees. These are oppressive, summer-like conditions that fuel explosive thunderstorm growth. At 9:44 a.m., the first severe weather reports emerge. 2 to 3 inch hail pummels Jackson County. By late morning, an intense storm tears through downtown London, ripping the roof off the wedding shop and damaging multiple businesses. Many residents believe the worst has passed. They are wrong. Let me explain what the atmosphere looked like that afternoon, because the numbers were extraordinary. Mixed layer CAPE values, the energy available for storms, exceeded 3,000 joules per kilogram. To put that in perspective, anything over 2,500 is considered extreme. This was off the charts. The significant tornado parameter reached values between 4 and 9. Normal thresholds are 1. This was 4 to 5 times above normal. The supercell composite parameter approached 20. Storm relative helicity exceeded 400 square meters per second. Deep layer wind shear, the change in wind speed and direction with height, reached 60 to 70 knots. These are values more typical for late February, not mid-May. But combined with summer-like instability, they created a deadly recipe. One forecaster would later say that rarely are all parameters so favorable for tornadic supercells. But there is something else, something that makes this event even more dangerous. The parent supercell that will spawn the killer tornado forms over 400 miles away in Missouri's Ozark Mountains. It tracks for hours across Missouri, Illinois, and western Kentucky, remaining discreet and dangerous ahead of a consolidating line of storms. By evening, it is a monster. 5 p.m. Central Daylight Time. In Somerset, Kentucky, families are finishing dinner. In London, workers are heading home. In the small communities scattered across Pulaski, Laurel, and Russell counties, people are settling in for a Friday night. Major Leslie Leatherman, everyone calls him Les, is at home with his wife Michelle. Les is 57 years old and has served the Laurel County Fire Department for 39 years. 3 decades of service. He has seen storms before. He is trained for disasters. He knows what to do when the sirens sound. Roger and Karina Rivas are in their home, comfortable and safe. They have their German Shepherd Shadow nearby. Their home is not fancy, but it is theirs. They have made it a place of peace. Across the Sunshine Hills subdivision outside London, families are going about their Friday evening routines. Parents are putting kids to bed. Teenagers are texting friends. No one is thinking about tornadoes. Carrie Davis is at home with her children, her dogs, and her cats. Her 19-year-old son has his emergency medical kit nearby. He has been trained as a first responder. It is just part of his preparation. He has no idea he will need it in a few hours. Richard and Wanda McFall, both in their 70s, are at home. They have been married for decades. Every Christmas they dress up as Mr. and Mrs. Claus at their church. The kids love them. Everyone in the community knows them. At Somerset Cinema's 8, about 100 people settle into their seats. It is a normal Friday night at the movies. Popcorn, candy, the lights dim. The previews start. 7 p.m., the Storm Prediction Center updates their severe weather outlook. The risk level increases. The language becomes more urgent. 8 p.m., the atmosphere is now what meteorologists call highly unstable. 9 p.m. radar begins tracking a discrete supercell thunderstorm moving into Kentucky. It is the same storm that formed over 400 miles away in Missouri. It has been tracking for hours, growing stronger, more organized, more dangerous. 10 p.m. tornado warnings begin firing across the region. 10:15 p.m. The National Weather Service issues a particularly dangerous situation warning, a tornado emergency for Somerset, London, and surrounding areas. This is the most serious warning they can issue. It means a violent tornado is imminent or occurring. It means take shelter now. Sirens wail across Somerset and London, but it is Friday night. It is dark. People have heard tornado warnings before that came to nothing, and critically, fatally, they cannot see what is coming. 10:26 p.m. Central Daylight Time. Touchdown. The tornado touches down in Russell County, northeast of Jamestown. Initial damage is minor, a damaged outbuilding roof. Nothing to suggest what's coming. Within minutes, it is a killer. 10:35 p.m. Near Gosser Ridge Road, the tornado reaches EF3 intensity. A concrete foundation home is leveled. A 69-year-old woman dies inside. The tornado is now confirmed deadly. But here is what makes this tornado so terrifying. It is pitch black. Survivors will later say you could not see your hand in front of your face. The tornado is rain-wrapped, meaning it is surrounded by heavy rain that makes it invisible even with lightning. The hills and trees of eastern Kentucky obscure it further. You cannot see it coming. You can only hear it. Every survivor will tell you about the sound. It is not like a train. It is not like a jet engine. It is both of those things and worse. It is physical. You feel it in your chest, in your bones, in your soul. It is the sound of the world ending. 10:45 p.m. The tornado strengthens as it moves northeast. 10:57 p.m. Storm spotters confirm. Tornado in Somerset. 11 p.m. The tornado plows through southern Somerset at EF2 to EF3 intensity. About 100 people are inside Somerset Cinemas 8 when the building is struck. The roof sustains minor damage. Debris flies through the parking lot. But incredibly, miraculously, no one dies. Across Somerset, 12 homes are destroyed. 20 businesses are leveled or severely damaged. The south wall of the Pulaski County Area Technology Center collapses entirely. Redeemer Lutheran Church loses its front and back walls. The South Kentucky Rural Electric Cooperative building is destroyed, but the tornado is just getting started. 11:15 p.m. As the tornado enters the Daniel Boone National Forest, something terrifying happens. It begins to intensify. For the next 15 minutes, the tornado reaches its peak fury. It is now moving through the forest at EF4 intensity, with winds of 170 miles per hour, nearly a mile wide at its widest point, 1,700 yards of pure destruction. A large electrical transmission tower, the kind designed to withstand hurricane-force winds, is crumpled like a tin can and thrown 250 yards. Trees are not just knocked down. They are debarked, stripped completely bare. Only stubs of the largest limbs remain. Radar detects debris 27,000 feet in the atmosphere. That is over 5 miles high. Pieces of homes, trees, cars, lives, all carried miles into the sky. The tornado travels 47 miles through the Daniel Boone National Forest, destroying 30,000 acres. The scar it leaves is so massive, it is visible from space. Satellite imagery will later show a brown gash cutting through the green forest, a wound on the landscape that will take decades to heal. 11:35 p.m. The tornado exits the forest and enters Laurel County. What happens next will become the darkest chapter of this disaster. The Sunshine Hills Nightmare, from 11:35 p.m. to 11:45 p.m. The tornado strikes the Sunshine Hills subdivision outside London at full EF4 intensity. Winds of 170 miles per hour, nearly a mile wide. Moving at 36 miles per hour. And it is still pitch black. Carrie Davis and her family are huddled in their basement with kids, dogs, and cats when it hits. She will later recall, "Our ears blew out, and then everything just crumbled." The sound is beyond description. The pressure change is instant and violent. Then the house above them disintegrates. When they emerge, only the basement opening remains. Everything else, the entire house, is gone. But Carrie's 19-year-old son does not pause. He grabs his emergency medical kit and immediately begins searching for neighbors. Within minutes, he finds one with a broken femur. He lifts the man over his shoulder and carries him to safety. He finds another with a stomach injury, another with 2 broken legs. As a second storm approaches, they run back to the basement for shelter. Then, they emerge again to continue searching. "We kept hearing people scream," Carrie recalls. "Someone help me! Help us! Help us!" He is finding bodies in the darkness. He is seeing things no teenager should ever see. "That's hard for a 19-year-old to see," Carrie says. "He's going to need a lot of help after this." Across Sunshine Hills, the destruction is absolute. 17 homes sustain EF4 damage. Many are swept completely clean from their foundations. Vehicles are thrown and mangled beyond recognition. Trees are debarked with only stubs remaining. The National Weather Service survey team will later document that many homes were wiped clean from their foundations, with vehicles thrown and trees debarked, with only stubs of the largest limbs left. At least 9 people die in Sunshine Hills alone. Roger and Karina Rivas run to their bathroom when they hear the tornado warning. They lie flat, The sound is overwhelming. The house shakes. Then, in an instant, it is over. When they try to stand up, Roger realizes something impossible has happened. They are not in their bathroom anymore. They are outside, about 10 to 15 feet from where they started. The bathroom, the entire house, is gone. Their German Shepherd Shadow escapes during the chaos. They spot her later, too traumatized to come to them. Everything they own is gone, but they are alive. The house, anything that was in it, it really does not matter, Roger says. We could care less. All this stuff is replaceable. We are not replaceable. Kendra Foster shelters in her basement with 13 family members, including a 4-month-old baby. She believes they are going to die. Her 8-year-old daughter is left with bruises covering her body. Foster suffers a broken foot from falling debris, but they all survive. Vanessa Mullins shelters in her bathroom with her boyfriend and son. When the tornado passes and they open the door, Vanessa looks up and sees the sky. The bathroom is the only room with 4 walls and a ceiling left standing. If it would have lasted any longer, she says, I think we would have been gone too, because it was in the process of tearing that part of the roof off. Across the subdivision, survivors emerge from basements and bathrooms to find their world transformed. Homes that stood minutes ago are now foundations. Cars are crumpled metal. Trees are stripped bare. And in the darkness they can hear voices crying for help. But the most heartbreaking story is still unfolding. 11:47 p.m. Major Leslie Leatherman responds to a fire alarm in his neighborhood. He has been a firefighter for 39 years. Responding to emergencies is second nature. He does not know the tornado is seconds away. At the same moment, the tornado is bearing down on his street. The next morning, first responders find Les in a field, 100 yards from where his home once stood. His house has been swept completely away. The foundation is bare. Nothing remains but concrete blocks. Les is dead, but he is not alone. He is lying on top of his wife Michelle, his body shielding hers. His final act was protecting the woman he loved from 170 miles per hour winds. Michelle is alive, though injured. Les used his body as a shield until his last breath. Deputy Chief Terry Wattenbarger, Les's colleague of nearly 39 years, struggles to find words. She was screaming. I'm sure he went to the first person he thought he could help. It just happened to be her. The Laurel County Fire Department loses one of their own. A man who dedicated 39 years to saving others. A man whose last act was the ultimate sacrifice. We are surviving, the department later posts. That's the only way we can describe it. People say, are you all okay? No, we're not. We're not okay. We're surviving though, because that's what he would want. At 11:47 p.m., the tornado crosses the London Corbin Airport. Security cameras capture the moment. 6 Beechcraft T-34 aircraft are destroyed. An air evac medical helicopter is annihilated. The crew had moved to shelter moments before. If they had waited even 30 seconds, they would be dead. Industrial buildings at the airport are leveled. Metal beams are twisted and thrown. Debris is scattered across the runways. From 11:48 p.m. to 11:52 p.m., the tornado continues through Laurel County. A large apartment building is destroyed. 2 people die inside. Marshall Miracle, 25 years old, the youngest victim, dies when the Maximus Industrial Building collapses as he shelters with his family. At 11:56 p.m., after 90 minutes on the ground, after 60.02 miles of destruction, after carving a scar nearly a mile wide through 3 counties, after killing 20 people and injuring 108 more, after causing $350 million in damage, the tornado finally dissipates, west of Lida. But for the survivors emerging from basements and shelters, the nightmare is just beginning. Saturday, May 17th, 2025, 6 a.m. First light. Carrie Davis and her family have been searching for survivors all night in complete darkness. Now, as the sun rises, they see for the first time what the tornado has done. Sunshine Hills does not exist anymore. Where homes stood 12 hours ago, there are now empty foundations. Where trees lined streets, there are now bare stumps. Where neighbors lived, there are now only memories and debris. Everywhere you looked, it was just gone, one survivor recalls. The Laurel County coroner declares a mass casualty incident. First responders have taken 4,000 calls for service. The National Guard deploys 70 members to the affected areas. Governor Beshear arrives in London. He has seen tornado damage before. The December 2021 Western Kentucky tornado killed 57 people. But even he is shocked by what he sees. The devastation is remarkable, he says. We have seen this before in Kentucky. We know how to respond. We know how to rebuild. But that does not make it any easier. Herman Luring's story emerges. Search and rescue teams find Richard and Wanda McFall, the couple who played Mr. and Mrs. Claus at their church, dead in the ruins of their home. The death toll is 20, 17 in Laurel County, 1 in Pulaski County, 1 in Russell County. 1 more will die days later from carbon monoxide poisoning while running a generator. 108 injured, 8,217 homes affected, 280 homes completely destroyed. The National Weather Service survey teams begin their work. They will spend days walking the tornado path, documenting the damage, measuring the intensity. Their conclusion, EF4, peak winds of 170 miles per hour, maximum width of 1 mile, path length of 60.02 miles, time on the ground, 90 minutes. It is the longest track violent tornado in Kentucky in decades. It is eastern Kentucky's deadliest tornado on record. It is only the 6th EF4 or EF5 tornado in Kentucky in the past 50 years. And it struck in complete darkness. Let me tell you about some of the people who died. Richard and Wanda McFall, 73 and 65. Every Christmas, they dressed as Mr. and Mrs. Claus at their church. The children loved them. Everyone in the community knew them. They died together in their home. Major Leslie Leatherman, 58, 39 years with the Laurel County Fire Department, died shielding his wife from the tornado, a hero until his last breath. Marshall Miracle, 25, the youngest victim, sheltering with his family when an industrial building collapsed. He was just starting his life. Ray Cowan, 88, Gary Sweet, 71, and Linda Sweet, 72. Elderly siblings who lived together. June Johnson Fisher, 74. Nancy Clem, 69. Darlene Miller, 67. Pamela Mason, 67. Sherry Smith, 68. Tiffany Heim, 48. Lisa Fortney, 50. Kenneth Elliott, 63. Bobby Tillman, 76. 20 names, 20 families, 20 futures that ended in 90 minutes of darkness. CHY. St. Joseph Hospital in London treats 108 patients. Ages range from 1-year-old to the elderly. Injuries range from cuts and bruises to punctured lungs. Multiple patients require amputations. One couple each loses an arm while clinging to each other during the tornado. Responders describe their survival as the definition of true love. Within hours, volunteers begin arriving. Operation BBQ. Relief serves 1,500 meals daily. Samaritan's Purse deploys 2 disaster relief tractor trailers. The Team Kentucky Storm Relief Fund raises over $1.3 million from 6,000 donors. Volunteers arrive from Georgia and Pennsylvania and from across the state. They bring chainsaws, excavators, food, water, supplies, and most importantly, hope. Mayor Randall Weddell of London captures the spirit when he says, "We weep for our neighbors. Our heart breaks for the ones that we lost. But in that, there's a resilience." People who have seen natural disasters before have come here and said they couldn't believe the amount of response. President Trump approves Governor Beshear's federal disaster declaration. FEMA designates this as Major Disaster DR 4875KY, authorizing grants for temporary housing and loans for uninsured property losses. But here's the reality. Even with all the help, even with all the volunteers, even with federal aid, rebuilding a community takes years. 51% of the damaged homes in Laurel County are torn down within 2 weeks. They are unsalvageable. Total losses. The cleanup costs are estimated at $59 million. 1.5 million cubic yards of debris must be removed. That's enough to fill a football field 200 feet deep. And that's just the physical damage. The emotional toll is incalculable. Here's what you need to understand about tornadoes in Kentucky. This is not Tornado Alley. This is what meteorologists now call Dixie Alley, and it is more dangerous. In Tornado Alley, in Oklahoma, Kansas, and Nebraska, tornadoes typically strike in the afternoon. You can see them coming, the terrain is flat, and you have visibility for miles. In Dixie Alley in Kentucky, Tennessee, Alabama, and Mississippi, tornadoes more often strike at nighttime. They are rain-wrapped. The terrain is hilly and forested. You cannot see them coming, and the population is more vulnerable. There are more manufactured homes, more rural communities, and less access to shelters. The statistics are chilling. Kentucky has had the highest tornado death toll in the nation over the past decade. 75 fatalities occurred from 2014 to 2023. The May 2025 disaster added 20 more. Just 3.5 years earlier, the December 2021 Western Kentucky tornado killed 57 people. It was the longest track tornado in American history at EF4 intensity. Kentucky has now experienced 2 catastrophic EF4 tornadoes in less than half a decade. Research shows tornado activity is shifting eastward. Through May 2025, Dixie Alley saw more tornadoes than the traditional Great Plains Tornado Alley. The May 2025 Somerset London tornado had every characteristic that makes Dixie Alley tornadoes so deadly. Nocturnal timing, a rain-wrapped supercell, hilly forested terrain, and a long track supercell that traveled over 400 miles. It struck a region where 63% of tornado fatalities nationally occur in manufactured homes. This is the new reality for Kentucky. More tornadoes, more violent tornadoes, more nighttime tornadoes, more death. The Daniel Boone National Forest will bear the tornado scar for decades. 30,000 acres were destroyed, and the path cut 47 miles through the forest. Trees that stood for a century were gone in seconds. NASA satellite imagery captures the damage from space. A brown gash cutting through the green forest, a wound on the landscape visible from orbit. Foresters estimate it will take from 50 to 75 years for the forest to fully recover. Some areas may never return to their pre-tornado state. The tornado changed the ecosystem. Sunlight now reaches the forest floor in areas that were previously shaded by canopy. New species will emerge, and old growth areas are gone forever. It is a reminder that tornadoes do not just destroy homes and lives. They reshape the land itself. 6 months after the tornado, progress is visible but slow. New homes are going up on bare foundations. Businesses are reopening, and life is returning to something resembling normal. But it is not the same. It cannot be the same. Roger and Karina Rivas rebuild their home, and they add something they did not have before: a storm shelter. They have learned. Everyone has learned. Across Laurel County, new homes are being built with storm shelters, underground bunkers, and safe rooms. Building codes are being updated. No one wants to go through this again. The Sunshine Hills subdivision is being rebuilt, but some foundations remain empty. Some families chose not to return. Some could not afford to rebuild. Some could not bear to live where their neighbors died. One resident who rebuilt says that every time the sky gets dark, they remember, and every time they hear a siren, their heart races. They say they are alive, but they are not the same people they were before May 16th. The trauma counselors will be busy for years. Children who lost their homes, adults who lost their spouses, families who lost everything, and first responders who saw things they cannot unsee. Carrie Davis's 19-year-old son, the one who carried injured neighbors and found bodies in the darkness, is in therapy. His mother says he saved lives that night, but she does not know if he will ever be the same. Here is something important. The warnings worked. They saved lives. The first tornado warnings were issued at 10:15 p.m., 11 minutes before touchdown. The tornado emergency, the particularly dangerous situation warning, gave people time to take shelter. But here is the brutal truth. Even with warnings, 20 people died. Even with sirens blaring, people were killed in their basements and bathrooms. Some tornadoes are so violent that even perfect preparation is not enough. EF4 winds do not care that you are in a basement. 170 miles per hour, winds can destroy concrete foundations. The couple who each lost an arm while holding each other were in a basement. Leslie Leatherman died, despite being a trained first responder who knew exactly what to do. Some survivors lived because they made the right choice. Bathroom instead of bedroom, basement instead of first floor, shelter now instead of wait and see. Some survivors lived because of pure luck. The tornado shifted slightly, weakened momentarily, missed their house by 50 feet. And some did not survive, despite doing everything right. That is the truth about violent tornadoes. Sometimes doing everything right is not enough. The lessons. If there is anything to learn from May 16th, 2025, it is this. Take warnings seriously, every single time. James and Jackie Couch received 2 alerts. The first, 30 minutes before impact. The second, 30 seconds before the tornado hit. They say that if not for those warnings, they would have been in their bedrooms, which are under walls and brick now. A 30-second warning saved their lives. Install weather alert apps. Have multiple ways to receive warnings. Know where your shelter is before the storm arrives. Practice your plan. Shelter matters. And if you live in Dixie Alley in Kentucky, Tennessee, Alabama, Mississippi, understand that you are living in America's most dangerous tornado region. Not Oklahoma, not Kansas. Build a shelter if you can. Underground is best. An interior room on the lowest floor if you cannot. Protect your head and neck. Stay away from windows. And when the sirens sound at night, when the warnings flash on your phone, when that feeling of dread creeps over you, do not ignore it. 20 people in Somerset and London wish they had that chance again. It has been 6 months since the tornado. Life goes on, but it is different. The bent and twisted metal from destroyed homes has been hauled away. The debris piles are gone. New grass is growing where houses once stood, but the scars remain. Drive through Sunshine Hills, and you will see new homes next to empty foundations. New trees planted next to century-old stumps. Life returning next to reminders of death. Michelle Leatherman, Les's widow, is recovering physically at least. Emotionally, she is broken. Her husband of decades used his body to shield her from a tornado. How do you recover from that? How do you move forward knowing someone loved you that much? Recover is the impossible question. The Laurel County Fire Department dedicated a memorial to Les. His name is engraved in stone. His sacrifice is remembered, but it does not bring him back. Marshall Miracle's family is trying to understand why their 25-year-old son died while sheltering in a building that should have been safe. Why some lived and others did not. Why fate chose him. Marshall and his family are left with questions. The survivors carry their trauma differently. Some throw themselves into rebuilding. Some cannot bear to drive past where their home stood. Some wake up at night hearing that sound, the sound of the world ending. One survivor says they hear it in their nightmares. That roar, that pressure, that feeling of everything falling apart. They do not think they will ever forget it. Nightmares follow many of them. May 16, 2025 will be remembered as one of the darkest days in Kentucky history, but it is part of a larger, more troubling pattern. Kentucky has been hit by devastating tornadoes throughout its history, but the frequency and intensity are increasing. March 27, 1890, Louisville, F4 tornado, 76 deaths. April 3, 1974, Brandenburg. Kentucky has seen multiple catastrophic tornadoes in recent years. An EF5 tornado, part of the super outbreak, caused 31 deaths. On December 10, 2021, Western Kentucky was hit by the Mayfield tornado, rated EF4, which caused 57 deaths. The longest track tornado in U.S. history is another part of this pattern. On May 16, 2025, the Somerset London EF4 killed 20 people. 4 catastrophic tornadoes in 135 years, and 2 of them in the last 4 years. The pattern is clear. Kentucky is experiencing more frequent, more violent, more deadly tornadoes, and they are coming at night when people cannot see them, cannot prepare for them, cannot escape them. The May 2025 tornado was the first tornado fatality in Pulaski County since 1974, a 51-year gap. When it finally arrived, it was devastating. Climate scientists are careful about linking individual tornadoes to climate change, but the pattern is undeniable. Tornado activity is shifting eastward from the Great Plains to the southeast. The season is changing, with more tornadoes in winter and early spring, and the overnight tornado threat is increasing. What does this mean for Kentucky? More tornadoes, more violent tornadoes, more nighttime tornadoes, more death. The infrastructure is not prepared. Most homes in eastern Kentucky do not have storm shelters. Many are manufactured homes, particularly vulnerable to tornadoes. The terrain makes warning and response more difficult, and the population is aging. Elderly residents cannot get to shelter as quickly. They cannot recover from injuries as easily. They are more vulnerable in every way. Building codes are being updated. Storm shelter rebate programs are being expanded. Warning systems are improving. But it is not enough. The truth is simple and brutal. More people will die in Kentucky tornadoes unless something changes dramatically. It has been 6 months since May 16, 2025. Somerset and London are rebuilding. Survivors are healing. Life is returning to something resembling normal. But 20 families will never be whole again. 20 empty chairs at dinner tables. 20 voices that will never be heard again. 20 futures that ended in 90 minutes of darkness. The Somerset London tornado stands as Eastern Kentucky's worst tornado disaster ever recorded. A nocturnal EF4 monster that killed 20, injured 108, and flattened entire subdivisions in 90 minutes of relentless destruction. The storm revealed both the terrifying vulnerability of communities in Dixie Alley and the remarkable resilience of survivors who emerged from rubble to save their neighbors before daylight revealed the full horror of what had happened. If you drive through Somerset or London today, you will see progress. New homes, reopened businesses, life moving forward. But if you look carefully, you will see reminders. Younger trees on one side of town, empty foundations in Sunshine Hills, residents who watch the sky a little more carefully when storms approach. They learned something on May 16th, 2025. They learned that tornadoes in Kentucky are different, more dangerous, more deadly. They learned that doing everything right sometimes is not enough. They learned that in 90 minutes, your entire world can disappear. But they also learned something else. Even after the worst disaster in their region's history, even after 20 deaths, 108 injuries, and $350 million in damage, life goes on. Communities rebuild. Survivors heal. Hope returns. The wind still blows through Somerset and London, Kentucky. It always has. It always will. But now, the people know something they did not know before May 16th, 2025. They know that when the sirens sound at night, when the warnings flash on their phones, when that feeling of dread creeps over them, they listen. Because they have seen what happens when you do not. They have seen the monster that hides in the darkness, and they know it can come back anytime.